Were you able to get a hold of them?
Yes, and they were able to answer my questions, so I think I'm ready to move on. The next form in the packet is the Declaration under Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act. That's a mouthful.
That's why most people call it the UCCJEA. The UCCJEA is a law that has been adopted by every U.S. state and territory except for Massachusetts and Puerto Rico. It provides a standardized way for the different states to determine which state or states have the authority to issue custody orders for children. The biggest factor in that determination is where the child or children have recently resided. The declaration under the UCCJEA creates a standard way of reporting this information to the court.
The top caption will have my name, address, and phone number like the previous forms.
Correct. Below the address of the court, the petitioner and the respondent box is ignored because it only applies to family law cases, and instead, the child, in this case Lucy's name, is written after guardianship of. Now, everyone seems to want to check the box after paragraph 2 that the address is confidential, but it almost certainly does not apply in this case. This box is used in family law cases where one party has alleged domestic violence against the other and the current address is not known by the other party. In paragraph 3, I am writing the number of children, in this case, 1.
Child's name. I assume that's Lucy's name? Place of birth. Do they need a full address?
No, just the city and state.
That's easy. That was right here in Sacramento.
Okay, I'll write that down. And I think you wrote down her birthday earlier, so I'll copy that over. And is it safe to assume that Lucy is still female?
Yes. So the next box is asking me for residential information for the last 5 years. Well, she's been living with me since October 15th when CPS dropped her off.
Okay, so that's what we'll put on the first residence line. So I'll write that in the date on the first box before the words to present and your address. Then in the next box, since she's living with you, your name and address again, and then finally your relationship to her.
Then the previous addresses go below this?
Almost. The old version of the form used to say address, but the new version only requires the city and state. As a result, as long as the combination of city and state and the person that the child lives with stays the same, multiple residences can be combined onto a single line.
That's good, because she and her mom moved through about 20 different houses in Sacramento last year. I don't even know the exact dates.
Well, you know the end date, October 15th, so that's what goes in the second date on the line below. The end date on the line always matches the start date on the line above. When about did all of this start happening?
About January of the same year.
Okay, I'll go ahead and fill this in. Do you know where her mother is now?
No, but I know she's homeless somewhere in Sacramento.
I'll go ahead and put that down. Before January, where was she?
The year before that, from February to January, she lived with me and her mother.
At your same address?
Yep.
Okay, let me just put that down. And before that?
She lived with her mother and father in Citrus Heights from birth.
Okay, easy enough. Let me just fill that in.
We just used all 4 lines. What if I couldn't fit all 5 years into those 4 lines?
You would just attach an additional page, label it Attachment 3C, and continue listing the same information on it for the additional residences until you reach 5 years, and then check box C at the bottom of the page. That isn't uncommon where parents and children move from city to city frequently. If you had another child you were seeking guardianship of, you would put the other child's address in the next box, and if the information for the addresses was the same, you could avoid repeating it by checking the box below the child's name that says residence information is the same. Now, if there were more than 2 children, the Judicial Council makes a form, GC 120A, that can be used to list additional children, which looks just like 3 more of the boxes on a page. If you list additional children, you just make sure to check box D at the end of the form.
On the second page of the form, the short title of the case is Guardianship of, followed by Lucy's name, right?
Exactly, just like the other forms. Now, the second page is used to identify if there are any other court cases involving the child. Do you know of any custody cases involving Lucy?
CPS placed her with me. Does that count?
Only if CPS filed a case with the court.
I guess not. Well, now that I think of it, when Lucy was first born, her parents had a court in the case to add her father's name to her birth certificate. It was something like an up case or something like that.
A UPA case, also called a Uniform Parentage Act or paternity case. In this case, you would look up as much as you can, which wouldn't be much since these case types are confidential files. But we'll go ahead and check family and provide as much information as we can figure out. That was in Sacramento, right?
Yes.
Any other cases?
No.
Is there anyone else who is not involved in this case who claims to have custody or visitation rights?
Not that I know of.
In which case we'll check No in item 6 and leave the information in the boxes blank. Finally, we'll fill in your name and date so you can sign at the bottom when it's printed out.
There's another form that follows this in the packet, the Indian Child Inquiry Attachment, but it doesn't have a caption on it. What do we do with it?
In this case, a copy for each child would be attached to your declaration under the UCCJEA. Since your case only involves one child, you'll only need one. Name of the child. Easy enough. So you were telling me earlier that you were able to talk to the other grandparents to ask if Lucy had any Native American ancestry?
Yes, they said that she didn't.
So I'm going to indicate that the inquiry was made and that the child has no known Indian ancestry. If you had learned otherwise, you would have checked the appropriate boxes to show what you learned. The grandparents that you spoke to earlier, were those the ones that you listed on the child information attachment?
Yes.
You talked with them for a while. Did they say anything else?
I learned some stuff about their family I hadn't heard before. Lucy's grandmother is from Russia, so there's no native ancestry on that side of the family. Her grandfather's family is from Ecuador, so while he has native ancestry from there, it's not with any of the tribes recognized by the federal government.
Okay, so we'll write Lucy's name in paragraph 1, check that the inquiry was made, and then check paragraph F to indicate that she has no known Indian ancestry. Obviously, if you had found otherwise, you would check the appropriate boxes and fill out the appropriate blanks to indicate what you had learned. Lastly, in paragraph 2, we are leaving this blank because this is not a delinquency proceeding, and then dating and printing your name.
It looks like we're down to 2 more forms.
Yes, the order appointing guardian and the letters of guardianship. The top caption is the same as the previous forms, but has been recently revised to make it a little more self-explanatory. Since you are self-represented, I'm skipping over the line that says firm name and leaving it blank. If you had an attorney, your attorney's information would be at the top of this, and the name of his or her law firm would be in the line that said firm name. Also, I'm checking the box that says person and writing in Lucy's name. With the newest version of this form, the option to use the order for multiple children was eliminated, so presumably a different order would be created for each child. But in this case, you only have one, so we only need one copy of this form. Almost everything on this form is to be completed by the court, but there are a few things you can fill out. In 1B, the box for department can be checked, and for Sacramento, it's a safe bet to write in 129. The top caption on page 2 can be completed with the name of the minor, and in paragraph 8A, the checkbox is checked and the name or names of the guardian is written in, along with their address and telephone number, followed by the name of the child, so that it reads as a complete paragraph identifying that you are being appointed guardian of the person of the minor, Lucy in this case. Then 10 can be checked because there is no bond for a guardianship of the person. The top caption on the 3rd page can be completed, and then you're done.
Anything else?
The court fills out the rest of the boxes when the orders are made, so we'll move on to the last form.
The last one is the letters of guardianship. Is this the one you described earlier, that I don't sign until after the guardianship is ordered?
Yes. One set of letters is prepared for each child and guardian combination, as the form isn't really designed to handle more than one person signing it or more than one minor. In your case, of course, you only need one since there is only you and Lucy. The top caption is filled out exactly the same way as it was filled out for the orders, with the firm name being left blank. Then, Below the top caption, the first checkbox in paragraph 1 is checked, and the name of the proposed guardian, in this case you, is written in the first blank, the box for person is checked, and then the name of the minor is written in the next blank. Paragraph 5 is the date the guardianship ends automatically, which will be the minor's 18th birthday, so Lucy's 18th birthday, so let me go ahead and write that in here. In paragraph 6, there are likely 0 pages attached, so that can be written in, and with that, the first side is finished. I'm not dating and signing because that information is completed by the clerk. On the second page, at the top of the page, I am writing Lucy's name, and then in the center of the page, under affirmation, I am leaving the date blank as it is not yet known, but I can fill in Sacramento, California for the place, and print the proposed guardian's name, in this case you. You won't date or sign this until after the court issues the orders and you are in front of the filing clerk after your hearing, at which point the remaining information will be completed.
Is that it?
That's it. Let's get this printed out so you can proofread it, and then we'll talk about copying and filing.